Thank you to Taskade for sponsoring this video. So what is going on, everyone? Fernando Silva here with another video, and today is episode 5 of our Microsoft series on the M1 MacBook Air. And today, if you guys saw the thumbnail, we're going to be going over Microsoft Excel. Now definitely stay tuned to the end of the video because I have one major issue with Microsoft Excel, especially and specifically on the M1 chip, because it's been a little bit of a detriment to my productivity and efficiency with Microsoft Excel specifically. So definitely stay tuned to the end to find out what that is. But without further ado, let's check it out. So let's get started, everyone. And as you guys saw in the beginning of the video, today we're talking about Microsoft Excel. This is episode, I believe, 5 of the Microsoft series on the M1 MacBook Air or the M1 machine. So the first thing that I want to do is just show you how quickly Microsoft Excel opens up, right? So Microsoft Excel has been optimized for the M1, and as you guys can see, it opens up pretty quickly. So if I quit out of it again, make sure that it's gone, click on here, and then boom, it opens up nice and quickly. So overall, Microsoft Excel has been working pretty normal. It works how it's supposed to be working. It doesn't really have any limitations from the Windows side over to the Mac OS side. So what I'm gonna do is actually, I'm gonna open up a sample data sheet just to kind of show off a little bit of what you get when it comes to Microsoft Excel. So this is a sample data sheet, policy data, it's a bunch of insurances and things like that, but you can see that I'm moving around the UI very normally, right? Everything in Excel from a function standpoint works, and it works exactly how you're used to, because this isn't a watered down version, this isn't an online portal, this is, you know, Microsoft Excel, the entire application, but it's just built for the M1 this time around, right? And it works really, really crispy, very, very quickly. So you get all the same things that you're used to getting on the home toolbar, right? You can change the text, make things bigger, smaller, add fonts, you know, change the coloring, alignment, things along those lines. You know, even do currencies, decimal points, some conditional formatting cells, and pretty much, like I said, everything that you're used to seeing on the main menu or the main toolbar. And then some other things that are added on here, and we're going to touch on these pivot tables a little bit later, because I do want to touch on those because I know that's a big part of what people want to use when it comes to Microsoft Excel on a Mac computer. Because on the Windows side, everything works how you're used to it working and how it's supposed to work. But on the Mac side, it's taking a little bit longer, but it looks like we're getting to that point where it's all good. But again, if you want to insert anything you want, you know, pictures, shapes, icons, the list goes on. There's even add-ons that you can do. You can tie it to different applications inside of the Microsoft suite. You can get recommended charts. So if I click on one of these, it gives me recommendations for charts, so you can look like an Excel wizard when creating these charts, which is really, really nice to have. So if I just click on this, you can move it around just like any other Microsoft Excel application, make it bigger, make it smaller, change the formatting of it, format the grid lines, the axis. So everything is there from a function standpoint when it comes to inserting, you know, your graphs and things like that. And again, it even makes you seem a little bit smarter because you have the recommendations from the AI of Microsoft, which honestly has gotten a lot better over time, especially with these Microsoft Suite applications. But you even have access to a filled-in map if you want, which is cool to have. Your hotkeys work too, so I'm Apple Zing everything to undo. You can add spark lines. There's a slicer, you can add links, and then this is the part where you can collaborate in real time with other people by inserting new comments. And then another cool thing is the draw feature. So I've shown off the draw feature on Microsoft Excel on the iPad Pro, and that works really well because obviously the iPad is a touchscreen, it's meant to work with an Apple Pencil, but then you have the MacBook Air, which doesn't have a touchscreen, it's not meant to run with a touch-first interface. So the actual drawing works pretty well. You just use your mouse, you can do whatever you want, you know, draw your little zigzags, write something out. You can even use the lasso effect over here to then grab whatever you just created and then move around as a solo item. So that kind of customization is there, which is nice. You have the eraser, the draw, you can pick different types of pencils, you can even add pen and pencil and highlighter tips just if you want to, and then you can even draw with the trackpad. So I just turn that on, draw with one finger, move with two fingers. So move this with two fingers over here if I want to move it, and then hello, if I can even spell that correctly, right? And then get out of there, and then press any key to exit, and there it is. And then again, I can grab the lasso, move it around, highlight everything, and now this moves as one whole entity. But I'm going to delete that for now. So that's the draw feature. And then you move over to the page layout, very familiar. You can change your margins, the size, everything that you would want. You can even change the background if you want. Formulas, this is a tab that is the end-all be-all when it comes to, especially beginners in Excel, especially if you're using Excel for math or architecture or physics or things like that, where all these formulas are just in a big repository for you to just start using, right? So you have the recently used, you have financial ones, logic ones, text-based ones, date and time, reference, little trigonometry if you guys are still working on that, And then you have the auto sum, so it automatically begins to sum whatever the two values you want summed up instead of having to type that all out. And then before we do continue, I do want to bring up that I am going to bring up one major issue with Microsoft Excel that I'm going to touch on at the end of the video, so definitely stay tuned when it comes to that. Before we continue this video, I want to give a huge shout out to Taskade for sponsoring this video. So Taskade is an online task management and collaboration tool that I've been using for a little over 3 months now since I found it. And the reason I gravitated towards it is because I wanted something that I could kind of work on my YouTube timeline and workflow from a filming, idea, editing perspective, and I wanted to get a solution that A, didn't cost money, and B, that it was easy to set up. So that's the way I use it. I basically, whenever I have a YouTube idea or a YouTube video idea, I jot it down as quickly as I can, whether it is from my phone application of Taskade or if I'm on my computer or the iPad. And then from then on, I decide whether or not I want to make a video about it and then move it along that timeline, whether it's filmed, edited, thumbnail created, ready for upload, and then that final check at the end in that final box is when it has been uploaded for me. So that's what I use Taskade for, and it's great for collaboration as well. But check them out, first link in the description below. Thank you so much, Taskade, for sponsoring this video. But then the next tab is the data tab. So the data tab, again, very self-explanatory. If you know how to use it, then you're in this. Again, this isn't an Excel tutorial. This is basically what Excel looks like on the M1 MacBook Air and how well it works on the MacBook Air. So these are the data sets you can use. Then you have the review section, which is, again, mostly when it comes to collaboration. You have the view tab to change more layouts, freeze pane, so I can freeze this top row right here, just press this button, and now whenever I scroll, the top row just stays where it's supposed to be. So then all I do is unfreeze the panes, and I can move around, and then that Excel line is no longer just staying stagnant anymore. And then the last tab is this shape formatting, which I haven't really touched on. I don't really know exactly what's going on here, but I'm guessing it's more of a visual thing, so when it does come time to present your data or present your information, then you can easily just present it how you want to, because you can bring things forward, send them back. So overall, the functionality when it comes to everything that you're used to on Microsoft Excel on the Windows side, you're gonna get it with the M1 version, and it works really well. And then one of the last things I do want to touch on is pivot tables and how they're made and how it works with the M1 chip. Again, you can use regular pivot table, you can use a recommended pivot table. It adds it to a brand new sheet right here. You can add the policy, the expiration date, whatever columns you need and have, you can start adding them on here and do whatever you want with it, right? You can add the different columns, the values, the rows, you can touch on the floods, the earthquakes, whatever data sets you have in there, you can start to play around with, and they work really well. So if I just want to have something really simple, right, get rid of all of these, then you can see that my pivot table is going to be very short, very small, very concise, and to the point. And then again, you have all your options on here, like inserting slicers, inserting a timeline, changing where your data is being sourced from. You can move the pivot table. You can have a pivot chart right here, which shows you everything that you would want to know. So all the bar graphs and line graphs, and you can edit this and format the plot area whichever way you want. So the functionality is there, and if you're used to it and you know what you're doing from a pivot table perspective, and even a macros perspective, it's going to work. And then also, when you do save these files, they're all the same file. So no matter if you open it on the M1 on the Excel version on here, or if you open it on a Windows machine, it'll all populate and be viewed the same way. But then the one main issue that I did come across, so if I want to Apple Q this, let's not save that, let Excel close down, and then if I open up Excel, you guys probably notice that there is a big exclamation point right here on my recents. And the biggest issue with that has been with OneDrive. I don't think it's an M1 SoC issue, I don't think it's an Apple issue, I think it's Microsoft for some reason not making OneDrive part of the M1 SoC and then making all of the other applications M1. So we're still rocking the Intel-based version of OneDrive. And I have so many issues with OneDrive. So for instance, if I do want to work in real time and collaborate with an Excel sheet that's huge, especially when they're big and they have a lot of data in it, as I'm going along with my shared Excel sheet, autosave is turned on. And every single time I do one change to one single cell, everything slows down, it kind of freezes on you, and you kind of have to wait for it to catch up, which has been a huge detriment to my efficiency when working, right? So what I had to do was take it off the OneDrive, take it off of autosave, and just work with it on a local file, right? On a local file on my actual computer on the hard drive. And then those hiccups start to go away. So again, I think it's a Microsoft issue with OneDrive. I'm sure it'll get fixed, and I hope it does when they do move it over to the M1. And that's been the biggest issue that I've had when it does come to Microsoft on the M1, but again, it's only really happened on Excel. With Word documents, PowerPoint documents, that doesn't ever happen even when it's being used through OneDrive, but when it does come to Excel and large data sets, it freezes up on me a lot. So that's a big detriment, especially if you need to work quickly on Excel. But that's pretty much going to be the overview of Microsoft Excel. Let's get out of this view and go to the normal one. But that's pretty much going to do for this video, everyone. As everybody saw, from a function standpoint, from a familiarity standpoint, Microsoft Excel is pretty much all there. right? Even though you're on the M1 MacBook SoC, you're on a brand new chipset, it's kind of a revamped application. It all works, and it works very well, especially if you're working locally, right? So everybody saw that main issue that I have has to do with Excel and OneDrive, because when you're working with large data sets and working on Excel and collabing in real time, then I guess it slows it down, because every time I make one change in a single cell, it auto-saves and it's slowing it down tremendously, right? So I have to kind of wait, give it a few seconds, probably 5 to 10 seconds, to let it kind of resave itself and then allow me to continue to edit things. So that's been a big detriment in terms of efficiency when it comes to Microsoft Excel. It's a little bit sad, but my solution was just move it all locally. It just kind of stinks because now I can't collab in real time. I just have to kind of upload it at the end of the day whenever I'm ready to go. But like I said, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, definitely leave a thumbs up. It helps get this channel out in front of more people's eyes. And that's pretty much it. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, leave a comment below which Microsoft application you want to see next, because I think we still have Microsoft Word and OneDrive left over. But until next time,